Here we are again, All Things Baseball podcast. We're your hosts, John and
Johnny.
And we just had a great podcast with Adam Haber. He is a baseball player.
Where do you play?
He just finished playing for Wofford College.
Yeah, great season.
He had a great season, yeah. Had a great, really, college career so far, but he has 1 year of eligibility left.
That's right, yep.
So we learned about that.
Yeah.
Great story.
Great story, great ball player. Didn't play too long in high school, but managed to play at a junior college level. And then he got to move on to play at Wofford. And
what's the word that comes to mind when you think about after listening to his story? What do you think?
For
me, it's perseverance.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, COVID interrupted his high school career right when he started to get rolling. We won't give it away here in the intro, but Adam Haber, baseball player, and he's going to continue. He's got 1 more year of eligibility. I know you're going to like this one, but before we get to that, please like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. I really don't know what that means.
I don't know.
Everybody
it does
says
something.
that. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But like and subscribe, smash that like button, and you'll get notifications when we have another podcast, things like that. And look in the description for some information about merch, things like that. So without further ado,
Adam Haber.
Okay, we're back on All Things Baseball podcast, and we're here with Adam Haber. And Adam Haber comes to us from really his family. So I know his family from, as I mentioned in the intro, for years. And Adam Haber just finished his season at Wofford College. Welcome to All Things Baseball.
Welcome. Thank you. Yep, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And, we've talked offline a little bit. I've gotten to know you a little bit. And then I feel like I know you better because your father and I, we grew up together and we connected, we've connected for the last several years of your career. And I just really enjoyed seeing highlights and kind of following you. And, your dad was my next door neighbor since I've been 4, so we know each other really well. And we played baseball like every day that we possibly could. So we always had this baseball connection, which I'm sure he shared some of that with you.
Yeah, it's been good to talk with you guys, and I'm excited for this podcast, and I'm glad it's family ties here, and it's good.
Absolutely. And I should say your grandfather taught me how to tie a tie, so that's how far back we go. Awesome. I don't even know if he would remember that, but he did. My dad, I think, was out of town. There was some sort of a dance, and Mr. Haber jumped in there and helped me learn how to tie a tie. So anyway, what we do on this podcast is, we've had lots of ball players on, and we've had coaches on, and we really like to hear, the journey and the story, their baseball story. And yours is a really interesting one too. And it reminds me of some players, from back in the day who, maybe started a certain way and really had to fight and claw to get not only the respect that they deserve, but to get noticed and to, advance. So can you maybe take us back a little bit in your baseball journey? You can even start with how you kind of got started with baseball and what made you love the game.
Yeah, so goes back all the way to T-ball. I guess I've been playing baseball my whole life, and I think it's always been that sport that I've always loved and I've always been pretty good at. I've always been, a solid player on a team. Maybe not the standout player, but I've always been a decent player, I think. And my unique journey really starts in high school. So I played baseball and ice hockey. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. So 9th grade, I break my arm playing ice hockey in the winter, so right before baseball tryouts, which are in January. So the high school baseball team lets me try out, a few weeks later, once I'm somewhat healed, and they have the roster set. Things didn't work out, so I don't make my high school junior varsity team my ninth grade year. It wasn't that big of a deal for me because I was hurt. So I kept playing summer ball and played that spring, and came back out for junior varsity back my sophomore year, so 10th grade. Fully healthy, fully ready to go. I felt great. Felt like I was the best I've ever been. And first cuts, they'll do cuts every day, and
Hmm.
first cuts, I'm not on the list, so I don't make it, and that was a blow. I told some friends and family before the tryouts that if I don't make this tryout, I might hang them up, and I might be done.
Well,
So it was a tough pill to swallow. But after the tryout, after I didn't make it, I couldn't quit the sport. I've been playing my whole life, and
right.
this goes on, and I've been playing travel ball in the summer, and I've been a good summer ball player, and I knew I wasn't a bad player. So I keep going, I keep going. Maybe I take it a little more seriously, and I play with a little chip on my shoulder, which I think I still play with to this day.
Right.
Um, go back after my junior year, so now we're talking varsity, and my high school, they won the state championship this year with my brother on the team, and it's good talent. It's not no, it's definitely good
Right.
talent. Hard to make the team, so I go there, junior year tryouts, and I make the team, which I was super stoked about. Um, and I work my way up. I in the opening day starter in center field, and I work my way up to the leadoff spot. And I think about 13 games later, COVID hits, and that's it. So I waited 2+ years of high school for that moment, and it's wiped
Wow.
away. So that was, man. I mean, it sucks for everybody, and
Yeah.
I, you know,
Did you get
just
off to a good start?
yeah. That was, I think that was like my breakout year too. Like
Right.
I was hitting really well, and I was kind of the new kid on the block, and it was great. And then of course, the season gets cut short, and so yeah, goes on, keep playing baseball, and when we can get out there. And senior year was good. I was on the team, and I was playing every day, and I didn't have the year I expected. Not an amazing year, not a bad year, but yeah, that's sort of the high school.
This is
That's sort
and
of the high
this is
school.
about the time your dad and I started talking because he
Mm-hmm.
was asking me. Johnny was who's a little bit older than you. He played in college too, and a bit, and he was asking me, kind of, I wouldn't say advice, but were just opinions, and he had shared with me your journey a little bit and said, I don't think he's gotten a fair shake necessarily in terms of not any particular coach or anything like that, but just like he hasn't gotten the notoriety from the colleges, and they haven't really seen a lot of them. There's not, like he felt like your best baseball was ahead of you, and he was asking me about the different routes that you could take. So that's about the time where we connected, and so tell us about how you got to ultimately, you got to Chattanooga State for your first year of college baseball.
Yeah. So I was, doing my due diligence in high school, and I knew I wanted to play college baseball. And I emailed, and I did all the stuff that I thought I needed to do. Went to a couple showcases. Um, so it was senior year. I didn't have any offers or anything like that. And let's see, I had at the end of my senior year, I basically had a roster spot offer from a Division II and a Division III, and I just didn't love. I didn't love my options, and I started thinking about junior college, which I had never thought about until the end of my senior year. So
Right.
it
Mm-hmm.
was definitely late in the process. So I go email these a bunch of schools in Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, just around home, and Chattanooga State Community College gets back to me, and they want to have me on a visit, and um, they were really the first ones that were really interested, and I went on a visit. Me and my dad went up to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it was amazing. Coach Dennis up there gave me a chance, and I'll thank him forever for that opportunity. And yeah, that's how I got to Chattanooga State, and it was a great decision.
Tell us about the tryout. So So he seen you play live or
I
no?
actually don't know. They might have seen me in summer ball right before I went up there. I never asked him,
Okay.
but I sent him a bunch of video. I put together a lot of video in game and did the stuff I thought I needed to do. And actually, a funny story is that it wasn't just a visit; it was going to be a visit and a tryout. So
Right. That's what I was
and
going to
then
ask.
it was just a torrential downpour that day. So
Okay.
I show up, and I'm ready to go. And he's like, you know what, we're okay. Let's just show you around the campus and let's go talk in the office. And I was like, all right, that's kind of ideal. I can't really lose there.
Right.
So yeah, he takes me around campus, tells me, sits me and my dad down in his office, and we have a couple hour long conversation probably, and his thoughts about me and his vision, and I thought it was kind of a no brainer, just for a lot of factors. Coach Dennis has a lot of success, and that program has a lot of success.
Right.
Just the ability to get on the field and have the opportunity to play every day and play a lot in the fall and the spring. Um, Close
Right.
to home, Chattanooga is an amazing city. I loved it there, and
Definitely.
yeah, and then
Johnny had,
it's very
yeah,
affordable too. So
very affordable too. Johnny had some
Yeah.
success playing against Chattanooga State, and when he was at Motlow State,
Uh,
which was in your,
yeah, I
in your
remember your team was really fiery. You guys would play like balls to the wall. Like it was
yep,
everything was do or die. Like it had some really tough at bats. You guys had a big righty for a while, and I remember just going there. I was like, oh my gosh! Like it was before this tournament started, the end of the season tournament, before conference and everything. But yeah, I mean that definitely stood out. Was your team was really fiery, and I assume that kind of like you could feel that as you were coming in there, and
yeah, you could feel that, and just by you saying that, it kind of just makes me think of that probably gets established just every day at practice and every day there. It's and then of course that junior college mentality of it's really do or die. You really don't have any backup plan or anywhere to go after that unless you succeed at that level. So I think the culture there was great, and it set everybody up, fairly well.
Well, we knew from Johnny playing before, and and just knowing the different teams, Walter State, and all the different team schools in that division, in that
yeah,
conference, that it was good baseball, and that there
yeah,
were going to be some players from each team that would advance to Division 1 schools like yourself, like you did. So we knew, and I told this to your dad. I said it's really good baseball, and it's a step. Johnny had gotten hurt his junior year, and he was out. He didn't play his entire junior year of high school baseball, so there wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot of people looking at him
Mm-hmm.
as he headed to his senior year. And so, yeah, we knew from talking to different people how good Tennessee, especially Tennessee Community College baseball was.
Yep.
So when we heard that you were going up there, we thought, okay, this is going to be good for you because you want to continue playing. You don't, and obviously it's a 2 year school, so you can move on from there and go to a really good school if you do well and get your degree and play baseball. So how did you get to Wofford College? How did that end up happening?
Yeah. So just a little bit about the journey at Chattanooga State. I think my story gets even more interesting. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, please.
I get there freshman year, and I one of the first days of team practice, I partially tear my labrum in my throwing shoulder, and that sets me
Yeah.
back. So I don't get on the field that much that fall, and when I do, I can swing it a little bit. And I
Okay.
was just having a lot of failure at the plate, and I guess that was kind of my welcome to college baseball. It's just like I was just not good. But I was gonna medically redshirt my freshman year, and
Right.
the spring rolls around. We do some scrimmaging before the season starts, and I just start hitting well, and I make the roster, and I play basically every day for 2 years there, and had two great seasons, so that was amazing. But yeah, I even thought I was a little under recruited in junior college. I didn't really have I may have had one option at the end of my sophomore year, I email some schools, and one of them is Wofford, and they get back to me, and they kind of wait around. We end up winning our conference tournament, and our season goes into late May, and then June rolls around. So I go visit Wofford, and they offer me, and it's a great fit. I'm not even sure if they saw me play in person, but a lot of video helps, and
Mhm.
um, their style of offense matches the style of offense I play, and it was a great fit. So that's they took. I guess they. I thank Coach JJ Edwards for my head coach at Wofford for the chance to play at Wofford.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Go ahead, Johnny.
just watching some film. Did this approach the plate with the speed combined and the defense? I could see you were just really elite. Um, but the offensive approach, it was you were looking opposite field, and you could like Jeter, who's my favorite player. He had the inside out approach. Was there an inside out approach like when you went up to bat? Were you looking to go opposite field, or were there like? Because I saw like moments in some of your bats where you would pull the hands in when you got
Mhm.
stuff on the inner half of the plate. Tell me, break down that approach, kind of where you maybe got more comfortable with Chattanooga State leading into Wofford.
Yeah, so my approach was pretty. I don't think in high school I really had much of an approach. I think, like a lot of high school kids, getting to college and Coach Dennis was very hard on the approach stuff. He was
Mm-hmm.
very good about that. So, what I wanted to do is I just wanted to let the ball get as deep into the zone as possible and let me read the pitch. So, by doing that, I would set my sights, middle to middle out of the zone, and that way it would set me up to go opposite field. And I think if a pitcher throws a breaking ball or a changeup, it allows you to still spin on it and pull.
Yeah,
So until two strikes, an inside fastball really doesn't do me any good. I'll take it and I'm okay with that. And then of course with two strikes, I'll do anything to not strike out, and I don't expand the zone and start swinging at everything. But I think my eye is pretty good back there, so that helps too.
yeah. And I know a lot of the kids who listen. We coach still, and we have guys that are pull happy and they open the hips just to pull something down and away. And you see it nowadays in the major leagues. That approach is common. That is an elite approach. Like a lot of hitters don't understand. Like you can let the ball travel and see it long enough. Like just drive it the other way. Don't
Yeah.
do a whole lot. Like that's something I wish I had learned later on. I mean, I had a handful of knocks where I could let it travel and take it the other way, but I mean, it was my strikeouts would go up when I would try to like do that approach where I was like not disciplined and trying to pull everything. And yeah, that is a really hard approach. But yeah, so leading into Wofford, you get there, kind of take us through day one from there.
Yeah, so I get there in the summer. They have a month of where they take a lot of freshmen and incoming transfers in to get acclimated, which I think really was a good decision.
Mm,
So I get there, we're lifting every day. The coaches are, they're not allowed to, practice with us or do anything just with the rules of the NCAA, but, we still go down there by ourselves, and that was good. And then, school rolls around, and it's it's a lot like Chat State was a lot of good players, and it's a successful program, so they expect a lot out of you. But it's definitely a different animal. I mean, everybody was the guy at some point in time, and
mhm.
that's partly true at Chat State and JUCO, but at a Division I caliber school, especially in the SoCon, I mean, everybody was good. So you're fighting,
Right.
every day. Um, Now the practices might have been less intense than junior college. Some days you probably get more. You still get the same amount done. Um, the lifts are pretty tough, and then the school is way harder as well. I mean, but that's what I signed up for. Wofford College is a great school, and
Right.
there's nowhere to hide there. It's a smaller school and no online classes, and so balancing everything is a challenge, but it's something that you put yourself up to, and it was good.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
now you're playing Division 1 baseball. You're balancing all that stuff. You're getting acclimated and kind of feeling your way. How tough was it to get into the lineup? Because I know you had a great career there. How tough was it to get into the lineup, and how did you adjust to the pitching? Because we always talk about that at every level that you're going up, you're having to adjust to that pitching. If the fastballs are maybe a little bit faster, maybe the pitchers spot the ball better, maybe they have better breaking stuff, maybe they have more pitches than you saw in junior college. So how did you make that leap in your baseball to get on the field?
Yeah, it's always tough to crack the lineup at a good program at any level, and making that jump it wasn't too bad. You know, the Tennessee Junior College set me up well, and I think the top of the line arms in junior college aren't too far off from the Division 1 level. And as you see, like there's a ton of pitchers that go Division 1, so you see it.
Right.
But division any good good program, good conference, it's the depth. It's now the bullpen guy isn't that hittable. It's sometimes their best pitcher, or
Right.
their Sunday guy, their third starter isn't just a walk in the park. It's it's legit stuff. So but it wasn't too bad. I just thought Wofford did a good job with me and telling me I just need to be myself and I don't need to do anything crazy. As long as I stayed on my game, it's going to translate. And I think it did well. And yeah, I got the opening day start my junior year, and it was probably a coin flip, and I won the coin flip, and I took it and ran. I had some success junior year, in and out of the lineup, and um, I was a little streaky, a little too up and down for my liking. But when I was on the bench, I just tried to be a really good pinch hitter and a good teammate. And when I was on the field, I just did everything I could to stay on there. But yeah.
So tell me, everybody has a memory of a pitcher or somebody that's like maybe really, really good, maybe an elite pitcher that you got a base knock off of. Is there any particular at bat? It could be in any. It could even be in a scrimmage. But was there any particular pitcher that you knew was really, really good and was going places, or maybe has since you played, where you could say, yeah, I got to hit off of this guy. They won't mind if you say it here on this podcast. Believe me.
Yeah. I do have probably my most memorable moment was my sophomore year. So back at Chat State, I don't remember who the pitcher was, but I know it was the conference championship of the tournament. So I know he was a good pitcher, and
Right.
um, but I hit a 3-run home run and it was my first home run that year, and it was in the conference tournament championship, and
Nice.
that's a memory I'll never forget. And that was against Walter State, but that
I
was
was gonna
awesome. But
say it was probably against Walter State because they're usually in the
yeah,
championship.
but I do remember my freshman year was probably I probably got a couple hits off him, who knows, but the 1-2 punch of Walter State my freshman year was Jake Knapp and Cole Drake. Knapp was this year's ACC Pitcher of the Year at North Carolina,
Oh,
Right.
wow.
and Drake is in Double A for the Rangers. So that wasn't a
That's why
very
I asked this
that,
question. I love hearing that.
that wasn't a very easy weekend for us, but that's what you get in JUCO. You get dudes that have that ability, and it's cool to play junior college and see where everybody lands and ends up, and I think that's really neat.
Definitely, John. I always with Johnny and I asked the same question to Johnny, and he goes right to an at bat that he had at Northwest Florida when they went down there to play Northwest Florida, and the guy I can't remember his name either, but he ended up playing in South Carolina and then getting drafted. And
Well,
do you remember his name, Johnny?
don't. I had a really good series that weekend, though. So that's all I remember. And I remember he was good. I remember he was throwing
Yeah, he was throwing like mid 90s, and you took him super
wipeout
deep.
slider. Yeah, I'd never seen a slider break that much before. I'd seen a changeup, and this is a pretty cool little quick story. Our rival high school. We were playing in like a game 3. It didn't matter. We actually already won our area. and this is my senior year, and he was already committed to go to play. I think Mississippi State. Was it McLeod? Christian McLeod, Dad?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Christian.
and his changeup I think was the best I'd ever seen. And I had thought I already seen the best changeup. It was like one of those where it levitates, and you think it's not gonna break, like it's like a hanger, and at the last second you just see it like fall off the table. And I think I struck out 3 times on that pitch. I wasn't expecting 3 changeups. I was like, um, no, yeah, and he went on to win the World Series with them. When State won it 4 years ago. I think I got that right.
Yeah, maybe three. Yeah, maybe 3, 4
I
years ago.
actually have the same memory of, and it goes back to Walter State. I mean, these guys were good, but it's a totally different pitcher, the fourth pitcher. But this kid, I think he ended up at Oregon State. He might have got drafted, but his changeup was unbelievable, and it's like you just see crazy stuff in JUCO. And I think the
Hmm.
difference is maybe when you get to Division 1, there's more guys that have more pitchability. They know where it's going and they can throw it in any count. But yeah, that's fun.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
there's
great to hear. We love hearing those types of stories too, because I mean, that's part of the baseball journey is you know growing and adapting and overcoming adversity, and everybody goes through a slump or two here and there, and you talked a little bit about about that. Let's talk about your speed now,
mm,
okay?
mhm.
You know, and by the way, I didn't mean to rush through your chat state going right to Wofford the earlier, but I'm glad that you brought it back to that, because I really loved hearing what you just said about your career at Chat State. So, but let's talk about your speed, because you are very fast, and you bust it out of the box every time. I mean, I know it's highlights, but I mean, you don't know that the time that you're in that at bat that you're going to be posting this as a highlight. So you bust it out of the box every time, and you must have had more triples than probably most anybody on your team. But tell us how you use your elite tool of speed in baseball.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there's no reason not to run and hustle out of the box. And for me, a lot of the stuff that I hit is on the ground. And in college and high school, these fielders aren't elite; they're not professional, so they make mistakes, and I think that's kind of a non-negotiable. But
Good, good point.
yeah, I try to get my speed onto the field any way possible, whether I'm playing the outfield and center or left, and um, just tracking down balls, or if I'm on the bases. And it's not just stolen bases, which I try to rack up, but I try to be efficient on. It's reads, dirt ball reads, trying to advance a base, going first to third is very important, or just being able to tag up. I think there's so many different options and ways to use your speed, not just stealing bases, but all those stolen bases are important.
The dirt ball read, I'm glad you mentioned Johnny. Johnny trained that way. His high school coaches always push that.
Yeah,
I always get upset when I see guys not prepared to take the base when the ball's in the dirt, especially if you're very, very fast. If the ball's in the dirt, even if he's a good blocker, you still have a really good chance to make it to second,
It's a tough
even if
play.
he's
It's a tough play for
it's
the
a
catcher.
it's a tough
good
play.
throw, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what
No.
do you think, Johnny?
So what does I don't think we've got to ask this question because I'm not going to reference our previous guests because they had some speed. But you are the fastest we've had on, and it's prevalent. The speed is prevalent, and what does make a good base stealer? Because not toot my own horn. When I caught, I thought I had a pretty good arm, pretty good pop time. No, but when you see a catcher with a strong arm and you know he's got a good pop time before the game, like how do you prepare for that? Like it might be a pitcher's duel and you might need to take second, but the catcher's got a good arm, pitcher's got a good slide step. So yeah, talk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, so a lot of the times, and Wofford has taught me so much about stealing bases, is as they're always on the top of the leaderboard for for base stealing. But um, if a catcher has a really good arm, you got to steal it off the pitcher. And we have guys with stopwatches, and you kind of know what time you need to steal, and you know what they are. So you kind of do a little subtraction in your head, and if the equation checks out, then it's good to go. And you're almost trusting the math. I think being able to trust numbers is really important because sometimes when you're stealing bases and you're unsure, you're already kind of beat. And I think you need to have good reaction time and acceleration, which I still work on. I think I get my top speed once I get there is good, but I think there's still like room for improvement with acceleration, which it's 90 feet. I mean, that's basically all it is. So I think
Right.
that's important. But yeah, just sealing off of a pitcher, and even like you said, if he has a slide step and the catcher has a good arm, then you can't force it. But that's when dirt ball reads become a thing, and if they
Mhm.
leave pitches up or leave pitches down, and you just have to find ways to impact the game in other ways besides stolen bases.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that is it's fascinating that it's almost down to a science how like you can go in accounts when a guy might throw a breaking ball and there's a better chance to take off and try to go on that pitch instead of like when going on a first second pitch when he's probably slide stepping, he's got his best move and the catcher's prepared to throw. It might not be ideal there. No, I'm glad you broke that down. Okay, yeah.
That's a good point, Johnny, because I do think that if you study, if you study it, and a guy's really elite behind the plate, and the pitcher is 1-3 or less going home, you kind of look at it and say, if you have the green light, or maybe your coach is thinking along the same lines, like I like Adam, going in this at bat, but I'm going to wait for a breaking ball count and that. But I would say that to your point about confidence, and you just once you know the numbers are pretty much in your favor, or at least 50-50, then you got to trust it. What do you think of Volpe's kind of the way he gets that running start, where he
Yeah, kind of the
he
vault,
got
the vault. I think they
yeah, you
call it.
have to be
Yeah,
super quick to do that because you got to get
Yeah,
back too.
yeah. I've never done that. I've never been taught that way. But one of my teammates this past last summer did that approach, and he had a ton of success. But I wasn't about to just pick something up and without being taught. So I've never done it. I've seen people do it, and we've played a team in our conference. So VMI, they would do the vault, and you would think that just pick off when they extend their lead and do that jump, and we would do it all. We would pick them off and try, and they would still get back safe. So I don't know the science behind it, but if that's the new school, I guess you would call it new school way of stealing bases, then go at it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have elite quickness too, not just like like someone like Aaron Judge couldn't do it. Probably not even Otani,
if you could,
Hmm.
I think,
uh,
yeah, that'd be
Yeah, you're
right?
probably right. Yeah, you're
You,
probably right. Yeah.
they're fast and they steal bases, as we know. But Volpe is more. He's smaller. He's about 5'9", 5'10", and he's quick. So he likes to do it to really get that great jump. I just think that yeah, you got to work within whatever you're comfortable with. Um, and the catchers today, they all throw from one knee. It seems, which never happened. That's really just in the last 7 to 10 years.
they
I mean,
receive from
Mhm.
one knee too.
what's that?
They also receive from one knee too.
They
Yep.
receive from one knee, and so I think that's better for base runners because they can't block as well. You can't
Yep.
convince me that they can block as well.
Yep.
Um, I mean, baseball's been played for you know many, many, many decades. In the last 10 years, the catchers have changed so much. But I would say this: the speed element of your game, has been obviously very notable in getting you hits that maybe a slower person, singles that a slower player can't get, and doubles. And I mean, what am I right? Did you get your fair share of
Oh
triples?
yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. And my approach takes me back to the opposite field, and I hit a ground ball to the six hole. The shortstop has to make a backhand play, and
It's a
that's
hard.
almost like a guaranteed hit for me. If it's just like that's a tough play. So, or up the
So Johnny
middle,
didn't.
and,
Yeah,
and mhm.
Johnny didn't hear this, but you told me offline while we were getting ready. You played today. You played in a summer league. and you scored. Tell us how you scored in the game.
Yeah. So I hit a single and RBI single. I steal second base, and it is now an 0-2 count with 2 outs, and I'm at second. And the pitcher throws a breaking ball in the dirt. So I just, it gets past the catcher. So it was a free 90 feet,
Hmm.
and I don't stop. I don't stop running because I'm like, this catcher's not going to get to this ball. So I round third, and I score from second on a wild pitch, and I don't think I've ever done that in my life. And because it was a pretty big backstop, and the catcher he didn't know initially where it was, and especially an 0-2 count with 2 outs, you're willing to make that risk because
Yeah,
you have to play the odds of what are the odds he gets a hit here. So my base coach was with it too. He was sending me, so um,
that's
it was really cool.
that's crazy. Wow, that,
Yeah, that's fast,
that's
and
wild.
and the fact that you didn't stop running, and that
Mhm.
you obviously, if you most players would take the free base and just coast into third.
I
If you
would.
had done that,
I
even
would have
if you
That's right. That's right.
that would have been you, Johnny.
I didn't have that speed. No, I was a corner outfielder. I think I had enough speed, enough speed. It was like, all right, all right. I think everything has to be perfect here. I think I could steal this bag right here on this pitcher. No, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Well, I
Hmm.
liked hearing it, and that's why I bring it up for our viewers and our listeners that that speed kills, and if you have fast players, you want to put them in positions to use that speed to get those runs. I'm a big believer that if you're sitting around waiting for your pitcher to throw a shutout and for you to get a 3-run homer, you're you're going to have a lot of games that you're going to be disappointed. So being able to do that. Now let's talk a little bit about your defense. So I know you can get after it in the outfield, and you've played probably all three positions and maybe a little bit more left field at Wofford.
Yeah. So I've played all three in my college career, and at Wofford, this goes back to there's always good players. We had some elite defenders, especially in the outfield.
Right.
And I don't have the strongest arm. That hasn't ever been my game, but so I play a lot of left field. I play a lot of left field at Wofford, and even DH sometimes because we had some elite defenders that sometimes would just they would just play over me. But um, yeah, I love the outfield. I love center field and being able to go get it. And yeah,
Yeah, I think being able to go. So if you're a pitcher,
Hmm.
your best friend is going to be that middle infield that covers a lot of ground, and those outfielders that cover a lot of ground, because you're going to even the good pitchers are going to give up some balls that are going to escape the average fielder. So it's always great to have the speed and the
Yeah.
range, and
hmm
then with the arm. I know you had some assists. Did you learn how to just get rid of the ball quickly and make sure you were efficient
yeah, it's getting rid of the ball quickly, and it's just being accurate. And
and accurate,
I
right?
think you can work on accuracy just in catch play and in
Mhm.
practice. But that's kind of always been my game is just getting it out fairly quickly and putting it on the bag. And I think that's a good recipe if you don't if you don't have the strongest arm.
Yeah, for sure. I think that our Yankees. I think you're a Yankee fan,
I
right?
am.
Johnny and I root for the Yankees. Your dad was a huge Mets fan growing up. Did he ever tell you that? Did I tell you that?
I do know that. I do know that.
Yeah. So we used to play a game he invented called the Met game. It wasn't the Yankee game. We called it the Met game, and because he invented it, I think he won probably most of the games. But we we had a lot of fun. But our Yankees, now that we're all Yankees fans, they sometimes frustrate me because they keep guys in certain spots in the lineup that are hitting 190 or 200 because they have home run potential. So that's how they pay you in the big leagues. That's how you get your second or and third contracts by hitting a certain number of home runs and things like that. But I think that baseball needs to really have those well-rounded baseball players and play the game the right way, bust out of the box no matter what the situation. Look for the extra base, anticipate the extra base. So when I started seeing you and how you play, I would share with Johnny. I'm like, oh, you're going to really like the way Adam plays because he plays the right way and he's got the speed tool and he's got the great batting eye and he has an approach, as Johnny mentioned. He would watch you let that ball get deep and pull the hands in and shoot the ball to left field when, because you're a lefty hitter. When the situation really, uh, warranted it. So we love all that about your game, and you're playing now in a summer league down. Uh, I guess I can say it, down in Florida.
Mhm.
Um, and you're what? Your time is up with Wofford, but you want to play. You want to play some more.
That's right. So I have one more year of eligibility that the NCAA is granting some athletes that were at a junior college. I'm going to take advantage of the year. So I'm looking to do a grad year and get my graduate degree. Wofford College does not have a graduate program. They don't have a grad degree. So I'm basically forced to enter the transfer portal and talk to some schools and figure out, what are their needs, what are my needs. I want to get a master's degree and I want to keep playing high level baseball. So trying to mix those and see where things go, and we'll see where I end up.
So you're playing ball, playing good ball, from what you described to me. You're working out.
Yep. We got a gym in town, and me and my buddy are, hitting up the gym before the game and going to the beach when we can. And yeah, life is great down here.
That's great. I love
Baseball.
hearing that. Obviously, we wish you great luck, and hopefully, you find the right fit for you for that last year of eligibility. And
Thank you.
hopefully, Johnny and I can get out and watch you. Will you be able to catch any major league games? Who's your favorite major league team? Is it the Yankees, or are you more of a Braves
It's
guy?
I like the Braves and the Yankees, and I know that's controversial, and
Right.
but basically, I was raised a Yankee fan, as you know. My dad
Yeah.
is now he's been a Yankees fan for most of his life.
Yes,
Um,
he's definitely switched over
yeah,
a long time
so
ago.
we were raised Yankee fans, and once the Braves moved into their new ballpark, it's 15 minutes from our house, so we got
Right.
we would go to a ton of games, and we still do, and so that's why my love for the Braves is kind of taken over a little bit, and it's the hometown team too.
For
Um,
sure. For
but
sure.
we've I think my dad just took me to a game right before I left for Florida, and I'll probably be back for you know the rest of the summer, and we'll try to catch a few more games. And yeah, it's been good.
Truist is like a museum. How big
Yeah,
it is.
it is really neat. It's really neat. They behind the plate they have this almost museum type of thing, this walk through history, and they got all their trophies, and it is pretty cool. It's a lot nicer than Turner Field where they were at previously.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
And
were
yeah.
there too.
I told Dad that I we were getting in. The Yankees came into town, playing the Braves, and Chipper Jones was going to be on the field for batting practice. He was going to be hanging out, talking to people, and signing autographs. And I told him, I was like, "We got to hurry! Like, I think Chipper's there." We got wind of it, and what happened, Dad? I think we were like, we had the chance, and we somehow we missed it or something. But no, that stadium is so cool. Trying to plan on getting back there too this year as well. I know the Yankees
Yeah.
play them in a
Yeah, we're
three-game series.
actually trying to get there for the All-Star game. I'll
Yeah,
keep you posted on
right.
that, Adam. We
yep,
want
well,
to. We
I'll
want to.
probably be there for the All Star game, so we'll see.
Nice. Okay.
Hopefully. Yep,
Oh well, then we'll get to see in person. That would
it'd be
that would
awesome.
be great.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
So we're obviously, so you're playing this summer. You're working out. Life's great. You're gonna figure this out. Hopefully, very soon. We're pulling for you. Before you go, give us one thing about. We know about your journey now and the tough, freshman and sophomore year in high school not playing. By the way, Larry Boa, who was one of my favorite players of all time, not a Yankee, he didn't even make his high school team any of the years, and he played in the major leagues. So
Wow.
for people listening, like,
That's incredible.
this is a great story for people
Yeah.
who know that they can play and just need to be given a chance. But what can you share? Just maybe something that you haven't said yet, or or emphasize something that you have about your game and why you love the game so much.
Yeah, I love the game, and I think that's not common in all players. I think some players just don't, have that true passion for the game. But I don't know. It's that competitiveness. It's the daily grind that you just have to embrace, and you just have to love the process. And I don't know. It's just I love playing every day and getting better. And I think baseball is good, but I think it teaches you a lot, about life and how you got to keep going. And yeah, I love baseball, and I hope I get to play another
Perfect.
year, have a successful year, and yeah,
Well,
It
perfect. Oh,
seems
that's
like
great.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
good luck. Keep us posted. We'll be
thank you,
watching.
thank
Man,
you,
good luck.
thank
All
you.
right.